to UTV here in Vancouver and saw them had size small on instead of Reboot, and then switched over to Como in Seattle and found out they had this awful alien family, human family hybrid show, which names occasionally by the way was bad. How many of you upset about it? Let's cheer.
I was upset about it, but for different reason.
I don't know, my mom found it kind of funny. I was 32 years old and crying about a cartoon.
Before the character makeovers later in the series, what was the deal with Dot's bizarre uniboob?
The uniboob? Oh, that big bosom right across, well, it was an art thing. No, I gotta tell you, I actually went on a tour of the backstage through the computers and all the, watching them generate the characters. And I gotta tell you, the guy who designed Dot, we put Dot together, I walked into his booth, was his cell, right? And his cell was plastered floor to ceiling with bosoms and women's bodies. And I'm going, well, that's a pretty good one. Yeah. Well, how about that one? That's kind of nice. Yeah, I know. We have certain standards we have to adhere to. But I said, yeah, but look at all these bodies. Surely you're going to come up with. But they did come up with a pretty good body for Dot. You know, I think the uniboob was you know, it saved time. Two boobs, it's a lot more rendering, you know, a lot more action and the jiggly. And the uniboob, they don't have to do anything, they just draw it straight across, sit. It's a cost cutting. Have you seen some of the dots wandering around here?
No, not yet.
Oh my goodness. Well, there was one, I remember one gal who got, in cosplay was Dot, who was here a year before last somewhere. But my, oh my, she was the absolute perfect Dot. There she is. And now she's the Mass Effect. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Rachel Haley. I think that if the animators would have seen Rochelle dressed up in that costume, boy, she would have been iconicized on that show.
Okay, so why did I get the big bosoms?
Well, you came along, to be fair, you came along later. The restrictions in season 1, it was like, it's a children's show, children don't know what bosoms are. Exactly. So many of the notes we used to get back from ABC and later people like YTV and stuff were like, really? Children don't know what breasts are?
But I'd also like to say, Andrea, as the show grew, so did we all.
I grew up in a family that my dad was in the IT industry, so that he basically got to explain all the lovely computer jokes that were in the show, and as such, I'm going to school now for IT. And I really like to say that all of this stuff that I learned through this show, all the technical lingo, plus the growing up with the humor of the show, I really want to thank you guys for that, because it has just been absolutely phenomenal growing up with a show like Reboot. So I'm going to have to reboot it. I was going to ask what your favorite episode is, mine being the talent show with the air guitar duo. My question now becomes, who is your favorite character that you don't play?
Oh, who's my favorite character that I don't play? like to play haiku slash? Fun? Fun. They had too much fun. And, yes. I'd love to have had a handle on Megamite, but then you got the handle on him already.
Wrong gender.
Oh, that's right. And who else would do that? Well, she tried to play me. No, but it was an insight, my dear, into my character. As I watched you go, happy, sad, happy, sad, happy. She hasn't got a chance.
I think Captain Capacitor was a captain. Yeah! I would have loved to play Captain Capacitor, and I miss him dearly. He was an old friend of mine, Jolly John, and Long John Baldry, who played that character, and he was a wonderful man and quite funny, and he passed away several years ago. But I had the pleasure of working with him for several years, and I've always loved that. I ended up taking over one of his characters on a show called Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't know if you're Sonic. And I always thought of John when we were, I used to drive him across the Burrard Bridge every day, and we'd go 1 kilometer over 50 kilometers an hour, and he'd go, oh, yeah. oh, yeah. I said, what's the matter, John? Oh, way too fast. I'm going 51. No, it's just, slow down, dear boy. But I'll never forget him. The first rocking out rock and roll party I ever had was a song that he did called "Don't Try to Lay No Boogie Boogie on the King of Rock and Roll," and to me, in 1971 or whatever it was the greatest rock and roll song ever. But that was my favorite character, was Captain Capacitor.
Thank you.
We forgot about Mouse.
Yeah, and I think we both wanted to play Mouse. She was a neat character.
So sexy.
She was sexy.